All right, so first and foremost, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourself and to share why you've turned your passion into your profession. And then from there, we'll talk about the briefs and the background behind it, and then answer everyone's questions. So, yeah.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Mike Blanche, creative director, Johannes Leonardo. Let's see. I guess I was interested in advertising from high school on, which isn't normal. Most people kind of fall into advertising. They get into it later in life. They decide what they want to do in college. But I always liked business. Fortunately for me, I'm terrible at math and terrible at school. So advertising worked great for me. I could go to art school and kind of work my way into the business world to work with clients like John Rocco. The great thing about this job is you get to do a little bit of everything. So you get to work on strategy, you get to talk to clients, work with clients to figure out what works best for them. But also on the creative side, you get to do, I'm a designer, so I get to design stuff. I get to do TV shoots, I get to work with photographers, illustrators, etc. And it's really, it's never boring, and you're always learning, and there's always something new coming along. So I guess I'm probably not answering the question the best way possible, but
that's a pretty good answer.
This job is amazing, and it's just non-stop, and you're always kind of doing something new. And if you like that, this is a good job to get into.
Thank you.
So ever since I was a small boy, I have wanted to sell home and auto insurance. It's a lie. It wasn't a straight path for me to this profession. I started my career as a kindergarten teacher, and then I got into the client world as a merchant, and then got into marketing. And I think what I love about it and what pushed me into marketing was the sense of purpose. So I've tried to put that into anything that I've done, whether it's working for a grocery retailer, for a book retailer, or for insurance. It's having a sense of purpose. Insurance is a really, really, really boring category on the surface, but it's really not that boring. So when we partnered with Johannes Leonardo and they brought this idea of optimism into insurance, where everything was very negative and fear-based, and it really turned it on its head, and that's what gets me excited. It's about taking something, at the end of the day, whether we're selling groceries or fashion, cosmetics or financial products, it's all about putting a need or a want into the consumer's hand. And if you can do that in a way with a sense of purpose, and really sort of crack that understanding of what's important to them, that's what really excites me the most. So that's what really pushes me in this area.
Hello. I'm a strategist, so Mike can probably attest to this, but my passion is arguing and being right. Being right as much as possible. And that really at the base of it, that's what strategy is, making your argument as bulletproof and as interesting as possible so someone like these guys will listen to it. Most of the time.
Generally.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you guys for your answers. All right, so let's talk about how you guys came up with the brief, where the idea was, why optimism, for instance, and why you feel that it's important to share this with students and have them work on campaigns.
Ooh, that's a big question. I'll do the first bit. So Sonnet is a new company, and when we kind of first met them, we were looking at the whole insurance category, also maybe thinking it was a little bit boring. And what we saw was that every single insurance brand does the same advertising. It is car crashes, it is houses being set on fire. In fact, there were 2 ads in Canada airing at the same time with trees falling through roofs. That's not what you want to be thinking about. And people actually buy insurance in these positive, optimistic moments. They've just got engaged, they've got a new house, they've got a new car, positive, beautiful moments. And what the category does is instill those moments with fear and doubt and worry. And actually, the insurance industry wouldn't really work as a business if those things happened all the time. Obviously, they do, but most of the time everything is fine. And so we saw this opportunity to protect the feeling that people actually have coming into those moments. And what we really kind of believe as an agency and as a brand is your home is very important, your car is very important, they're the kind of biggest financial investments you've ever met, but without optimism and without the positivity coming into those moments, you wouldn't be there. So our brand promises that we'll help to protect your outlook, protect your optimism alongside your stuff. And we think it's a kind of category divergent thought, and it's an important one. You know, those moments shouldn't be filled with fear and confusion, and you shouldn't have to turn on the TV and see a 30-second spot with a house burning to the ground. Right?
I think optimism is a very important thing, especially what's going on in the world right now. To be optimistic and really think about the future as a positive thing is important, and insurance is a key part of that. So yeah, for sure. Yes. Do you want to add, Mike? All right, and then why particularly with us? Why the young ones? Why have students work on this?
I'll take it. I think for students, this is a really challenging brief. So I think it's actually a great brief for you guys to kind of, try to sink your teeth into and to think about. I think, when I see a lot of student books, you see the same type of ads in books all the time. Students tend to pick, I'm guilty of as well, when I was a student, you pick the easy clients, you pick clients and you really push on those. And I think as a student with something as, weird and difficult as insurance, it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. And this is the type of thing you have to deal with your whole careers moving forward. You're not going to get to work on things that you know a lot about all the time. You're not going to work on your favorite brands all the time. But what you can do is turn a brand like Sonnet, an insurance brand from Canada, into one of your favorite clients, because you can think about it a different way, and you can kind of add to their story and make it your own. So I guess I'd encourage you for this competition, just embrace the challenge and come at it from your own way. Put your spin onto this really mundane category and own it and show what you are and who you are as a creative, as a thinker, as a strategist, as a designer, whoever you are. Put your kind of take on insurance, which, for myself, I think it's super hard. It's still super hard. So I'm really curious and looking forward to seeing what you guys kind of come back with.
Now, how would you want them to represent it or introduce it into the campaigns?
Optimism?
Optimism.
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess lots of ways. I mean, you can come at it head on and talk about why optimism is important and why it's something that's worth protecting. But you can also come at it kind of a backdoor route. You can talk about it in terms of tone and how you talk to people to express, hey, world, you need to buy insurance, but don't tell them in a fear-mongering type of tone. Tell them in a fun, uplifting, aspirational tone. So there's different ways at it. You don't necessarily have to say, hey, we're an optimistic company. You can just be optimistic in the way that you communicate. So I guess it's open, but just, it's really attacking the industry norm, which is to make you afraid to buy insurance, and really it should be more about, hey, it's awesome you have a car. It's awesome you own a home. These are good things, insure them, and be happy about it.
All right. What are some of the main criteria you guys are looking for in these campaigns?
I think for us, one thing, when we built the brand, and it was really a blank slate from the beginning, we didn't look at any insurance companies. We looked at them to identify what we didn't want to look at. And it was really important to be different. And that's important because the category, these are Canadian numbers, but I would suspect it's the same in the US. 70 to 80% of people will say they dislike their insurance provider, like dislike them. Yet over 70% of people auto-renew for up to 7 years with their insurance provider. So they hate them, but they don't want to do anything about it because they think the guy next to them is the same thing. So there's an incredible amount of apathy and inertia in the category. And so it's really important to break through, and it's really important to break through in an authentic way. And I think, to Mike's answer about optimism, I think there's a number of ways in. I don't think it has to be funny. I don't think it has to be reflective or sad. Optimism isn't a campaign, it's a platform that allows us in a number of ways. It's a human truth. So I think the only requirement of it is that it has to be human and authentic in terms of how we do it. Because I think you can see in the category, in the insurance category, certainly in Canada we see a lot of the spillover ads from the US, but Geico has a device now that it's effective, but they're kind of stuck with it. Progressive has a device that they're kind of stuck with now. We've got similar insurers in Canada who have their own device or character or tone, whether it be slapstick or fear, but they're known for that. So I think what optimism gives us is a number of different ways to get into it, and I don't think it has to be prescribed. I think the only requirements are that it's human and authentic, which hopefully allows it to break through a category that people generally dislike.
And in terms of breaking through, do you feel that laughter is something that tends to break through better, or real stories tend to break through better? What do you think personally stands out?
This is where I get to control the sort of creative direction.
Oh no.
I'm trying not to be that client, but yeah.
But that's why you're here.
Yeah. I don't think there is any one device. I think there's a lot of pressure on us as clients to come up with a device, to come up with something. I was in a meeting this week where our leaders were saying, Bel Air, it's insurer in Canada, they have that character. Why don't we have a character? We need to be known for something. It takes patience. It takes a lot of patience to develop that and to want it to break through. So for us, I think in our campaign, we've used laughter. We've used a sort of a quirky kind of tone and irreverence. We've been very reflective. We've been provocative. So I think any human emotion is sort of up for grabs for us. Again, as long as it's done in an authentic way. So if it's laughter and it's done in a story, if there's a surprise and delight to it, I think there's power in storytelling. Some of my favorite ads are the John Lewis ads that come out every holiday season, and I think they're beautiful, touching stories that rely on music and rely on storytelling and characterization and cinematography. And I think marketers are pressured to get the logo bigger, to get the price in, to get one more statement in. And I think consumers deserve better than that. And I think as marketers, we need to be braver in telling stories that aren't necessarily as obvious, but it takes a patience to be able to stick with. Is that a buzzer for me?
No, not at all.
I get that a lot at home too. Talk too much.
Okay, and what percentage of consumers are millennials, and where and how do they buy?
Our consumers for Sonnet, it's tough to say. I mean, we've segmented the Canadian population into 5 groups, segments 1 to 5. And the first 2 are really people who value brokers and they value investment advisors. They tend to skew older. They tend to skew rural. They don't like to be online. So we really have this one segment, which is our sweet spot of early adopters. It tends to fall from the 19 to 40 age range. And I would say that makes up about 80% of our customers. About 35% of our customers fall in the 19 to 29 age group, so it does skew quite young. A lot of them are first-time insurers, and they want to purchase online. They don't want to talk to somebody. They don't want to go into a branch. And we're the first insurer in Canada who you can actually buy insurance online. So we lag the US in terms of being able to actually purchase insurance online. So for that group for us, a lot of them don't even realize you can't do it anywhere else. But we've been targeting them, and our messaging has skewed younger and a little bit more urban. But I would say about 80% of our current customers fall in the millennial to mature millennial sort of segment, or Mike. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. I know that we had some questions submitted on the RSVP sheet that asked about examples. So we're actually going to show 2 examples, and you guys can talk about them. So we'll start first with the billboards.
Yeah, I think, so these billboards are billboards that we've done for Sonnet in the past. And these are examples just for, this is tone. It is not saying optimism outright. These are hardworking, very, feature-based ads. And that's what they're meant to be. They're at a home boards, and they're meant to be, hardworking. This is our product. This is what our product does. This is what we sell. And with this is, these are meant to be, cheeky and fun and lighthearted, and unlike other insurance ads that are currently out there. And then do we have other examples as well?
The ad, Sonnet ad. This one.
The most valuable asset you'll ever own is with you the moment you set out into the world. That ability to see that there's more sky than cloud, more light than tunnel. So when you're all grown up, steering your own set of wheels to your very own home, and it's time to insure your things, just don't forget to protect your optimism.
All right, so that example there, so that's a TV spot, obviously very, again, different kind of tone. This is, explicitly saying optimism. This is talking about the power of optimism, why it's valuable, it's something that we're all born with, and it's encouraging you to kind of keep it throughout your life. So this is a different way to go at optimism. Going back to the earlier question, like you can attack it head on, and explain what optimism is and why it's valuable, or you can just kind of talk in a certain tone. 2 other ads that I think will be shared.
Because Facebook can't play music that's not.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Legal
well, other examples you should look up, and you probably already know, is the Volkswagen Fun Theory. I think it's a great example of an optimistic campaign. The whole idea for that is, can we change human behavior just by making it more fun? And so they did, these tests that made, things like mundane things like climbing the stairs. What if you made them into piano keys that play music? Will more people take the stairs? Will adding sound effects to a trash can make it more fun, etc.? So that is that is essentially an optimistic campaign. That is the belief that you can change something for the better just by making it more fun. So they are optimistic that would come true, and it turns out it worked. The other ad that I would encourage you to look at, again, hopefully you know it already, would be the Honda Gur spot, which is a beautifully executed spot, but it takes a really dead simple notion of, can hate actually make something better? And it's such a weird thought that hate is good, but in this spot they tell you why hate can be good, why hate can be used to make things better, and it's executed perfectly. But yeah, I'd say these are all very different examples, and that's like John was saying, that's the beauty of optimism as a platform. You can take it so many different ways, and that's what we're looking forward from you guys, is to show us like how many different ways you can kind of come at this at this platform.
And we can provide those examples on our website, on the Young Ones website, so that you guys can see them in case you don't know what they are or you haven't seen them in a while and you need a refresher. We'll provide them. So, all right, we have time for one question and then we have to move on. And I believe it's coming from Facebook. Hot off the press question. Okay. So the question is, although Sonnet is a Canadian insurance company, can campaigns focus on other millennial groups around the world? Is Sonnet actually trying to expand their reach in any way to other places beyond Canada?
Do you want to take it? Do you want to take it?
New accent. So no, they're not. It's a kind of Canadian-based company. I mean, unless there's a new brief coming. But I would say that the thing about optimism and the thing about focusing on these life milestones is that hopefully those kind of insights and those feelings are pretty universal. So I would say your campaign or your idea doesn't have to happen in downtown Toronto. It could be a beautiful spot like that, which again isn't uniquely Canadian, speaks to a life moment and has a fairly universal feeling about it. As long as it's, lands optimism, it speaks to these life moments that we're really trying to hone in on, I think that will be a pretty universal idea across the world.